Joining me here on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line on the Rich Eisen Show is a man who is keeping the old school SportsCenter light on every single night at midnight when he hosts his version of SportsCenter. He's also the host of the SV Pod. Scott Van Pelt back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Scott?
Better. Been too long. And
it has been.
You know how this goes in this business, right? Like your friends that you watch, and I'll see you, whether it's some clip I see on Twitter or wherever, and hopefully vice versa. Somehow you're vaguely aware of what we're doing, but this is so much better to actually, sort of shake hands and hug from afar. So thanks for having me back.
It is exactly that, and I was thinking of you the other day. Because whenever Stuart pops in my brain, I think of the folks at SportsCenter and ESPN who were there with him back in the day. And Stuart pops in my brain anytime North Carolina does well in anything. And I'm like, who can I call to reach out to have this conversation about Stuart Scott and what we're seeing right now? Because what we're seeing right now is not just a run by North Carolina. The fact that here they are again, now in the Final Four against Coach K, again, after what happened at Cameron. And this could be Coach K's last game or not. And it's their first Final Four appearance. This is off the charts. And I'm like, I got to call Scott and just throw that in your lap, which I just did. Scott,
love it. And it makes me smile to think about our friend, and it made me remember being on the set at 10 years ago now, which is impossible to fathom, but it's 2012, and Stuart and I are going to follow Duke Carolina, and it's in Chapel Hill, and Carolina is winning fairly comfortably most of the game. And then it's one of those things that happens in rivalry games where it starts to, maybe Duke's got a shot here, Well, Austin Rivers hit the shot. They win at the buzzer, 85-84. Now, this is very inside TV, but I'll explain it in a way that would hopefully make sense if you don't do TV. When you're following a live event and the director gets in your ear, the IFB, the thing that's in your ear, and says, next counts to us, what that means is the event is live. They've just hit this miraculous shot, but in 20 seconds, you're on. And Stuart and I are meant to follow this game. And it's got a massive audience because the game's incredible. And Carolina has just lost like this. And their next counts to us, and they're counting it down. And Stuart and I are just standing there, silence. And I look at him, and I say, if you leave, I'll understand. And I said, if that happened to Maryland, I'm gone. I'm leaving now. And he's like, no. He just gives you like that, like he gave you puts his hand down. Yeah, I'm good. And of course, the red light comes on, and no one's better. And he managed to just eat that gigantic L that Duke cooked up for him. And we did a show, and I just was smiling and laughing, thinking about that, because there's nothing you can do. When you have when the world knows, and you do it with Michigan, I do it with Maryland, he did it with Carolina. We're all from somewhere. That's where we're from.
Yes.
And he was proud of it, and he wore it proudly, and he wore it valiantly in defeat. And that night was defeat. But my God, Rich, the idea of Carolina and Duke in the Final Four. I happened to be in Cameron for that final game where for Coach K, and Carolina played brilliantly. And I think it changed their season, and I also think it changed Duke's season because it got their attention.
Yes, it did.
It's just remarkable. Imagine this. I want you to think about this. Michigan hosts Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh has become the winningest football coach in the history of college football. Ohio State comes to Ann Arbor in Harbaugh's last game, and they beat him. And then Harbaugh and Michigan get a chance to play Ohio State in the college football playoff. And imagine what you'd feel, because that's what Stuart would be feeling right now.
Yeah, because there really is. I'm trying to put it in any sort of perspective here, and the only thing that can come to it is Packers Bears in an NFC Championship game. Although that wound up in the hands of Caleb Haney a couple years ago.
All due respect.
I should have front loaded it because that does sound disrespectful the way I said it. Right. And then Yankees Red Sox ALCS, But it wasn't like the end of Torrey's career, and I don't even know, if Torrey, even with all that winning, he wasn't there for 40 years like Coach K, and isn't the winningest manager in the history of baseball. Like,
right.
you can't. I don't know if this is any comparison.
Red Sox, Yankees, we've seen it. It's happened.
Right.
Like, as crazy it is, it's happened.
Yes.
I mean, this is Auburn, Alabama in the playoff. It's Ohio State, Michigan in the playoff. It's something that has never happened in the history of clearly one of the greatest rivalries in sports, and now it's happening. And it's not just happening, Rich. It's happening as Mike Krzyzewski, the winningest coach that we've ever had, is leaving. And if you're Carolina, as fantastic as it was for you to go into Cameron and spoil the party, imagine if you get to end his career. like no one from Duke ever gets to say anything to you ever again.
You close up shop. That's it.
You just wave your hand and go, no, stop talking. Right?
Yeah.
It's the Farrell Riley scene in Step Brothers. Shut your mouth. Stop talking.
That's it. That's essentially what is on the line, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's why I think of Stuart, about what he would be thinking about this. And this is, we use hyperbole all the time in what we do for a living, Scott Van Pelt, but this is the biggest Duke-Carolina game ever, and I don't know how there could be another, because there won't be another Coach K, right? There won't be another first time that they meet. I mean, Hubert Davis being involved in it is an interesting plot twist,
for sure.
But this is the biggest Carolina-Duke game ever, and there won't be another like it. You could make that case easily.
No, and then the fact that the other game, right? Like Villanova and Kansas are, I mean, this is I don't know if it's even a debate necessarily, but I mean,
yes.
as the Blue Bloods go, Nova's new to it in a sense because they don't have the history that dates back 60 years or whatever. But when you're top 10 all time in Final Fours and you're top 10 all time in titles won, then in my opinion, you're a Blue Blood. Jay Wright, I think, is the next K in the sense of a guy that never has to leave where he is for anything, and I think will be the statesman of the game from where he is for as long as he chooses to be there. But what I'm getting at is it's them against Kansas, who's also on that list of team that's won a ton of titles and has gone to a boatload of Final Fours, and they're sort of like the other game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're massive, massive programs who won titles, in recent memory, and yet it's Carolina and Duke at 9:40 on a Saturday night in New Orleans. My God, it's like, look, we are guilty of hyperbole, and Lord knows, you worked here, I do work here. We're capable of making it a bit nauseating at times,
right,
at the shop, right? Because the tonnage of conversation about it just gets to be like enough. But in this case, if anything's justifying it in sports, this justifies it. And the fact that Carolina did go to Cameron and win already, which really launched them and changed the whole trajectory of their season, it's what makes what we are lucky enough to do, talk about sports, so much fun. And it's only Tuesday, and I have nothing to do with this game, but I'm pacing around my kitchen right now, like throw the ball up, let's go.
I know, that's amazing. Scott Van Pelt here on the Rich Eisen Show, and you just mentioned the tonnage of coverage that is potentially weighty for the fans to consume. With Coach K in his final four, and it's against UNC, and the coverage can be significant. But that would only be a walk in the park if Tiger appears at the Masters at Augusta National the following week. Do you think that's possible, Scott Van Pelt?
Rich, I have gone from waving. Remember the waving my hand? Shut your mouth. Stop. Coming off stupid.
Yes.
I'm coming off stupid. You're wearing tuxedos to an interview for cleaning bathrooms. Sorry, I'm doing Step Brothers.
Yes.
I did dismiss that. It was not happening. There's no chance this is happening.
Right.
And now it's the Tuesday before the Masters week, and it's not happening. There's enough of a waft of the possibility in the air. And here's what I know is that I don't know. All right, I don't know if he can, but it certainly appears, Rich, that that they're going to kick the tires on how he feels about it. And the thing about Augusta National, as has been mentioned so often, is it is the hilliest golf course that players compete on in major championships. And the man nearly lost a limb. And so you can roll your eyes about golfers on athletes, and that's fine. But I'll promise you this. Walking, when you play golf, do you walk or do you ride? I don't know a ton of people that walk, because at the end of it, you're like, man, that's more than you thought. Well, Augusta is a walk that taxes players in a different way. And so if he can do it, it wouldn't shock me if he tried. And a guy that I work with, whose name you'd know, and again, this is inside TV, but he's legendary in our business. His name's Mike McQuaid, and he's the guy I work for doing golf. And we were talking about it last night. I said, will we talk about anything else prior to Thursday morning? And he said, well, of course. But just the idea of Tiger on a range swinging a club that he's going to play Thursday morning, it'd be a lot for us to discuss, and it would be great for every other player, because then they could just very casually stroll down the middle of the fairway doing their work, and nobody be talking about him or paying attention to him, because just the idea that Woods was back giving it a go would be storyline A.
But you think wherever he is right now, he's sitting there thinking about it? You think that he's going through whatever physical paces he needs to? Yes,
I do. I've known him a long time, and I know that if there's a it's the old Arnold Palmer, right? Where if you're in the woods, but you kind of see that window between the trees, you're like, fit it through there, maybe. Yeah. Well, hell, let's find out. I mean, and I don't know, using that analogy, I don't know if he's got a small window or if he feels like I got an opening here. Let's see. I mean, only he knows physically how he feels. But if I think he did an incredible job of just poking that balloon anytime he was asked, right? When they were out in your neck of the woods at Riviera, and he was on CBS with Jim Nance, and he was talking about, well, look, I mean, it was just dismissive, entirely dismissive. Like, I haven't had a chance to practice. I mean, you can't go there and do this unless you can do A, B, C, and D, and I just haven't been able to do that. Well, if he's been able to do that between then and now, and he has, any shot of giving it a go. Here's the thing, Rich. He's won it, and he's allowed back as long as he's ambulatory and wants to compete. So it's not like he goes out and shoots a big number and doesn't get to come back. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? If he can do it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm talking myself into something crazy here, and maybe he doesn't. But it just, the fact that we're even having the conversation, I wouldn't have thought was possible a week ago, and now it's like there's enough chatter about it that I wonder.
Just to bring it all full circle, then, Scott, since you and I are professional, bringing it all full circle people.
Yeah, among the best, I think.
Well, you know what? I agree. So putting it all together, if UNC beats Duke and then cuts down the nets, and then Tiger reappears at Augusta after everything, then we know Stuart Scott is pulling some levers wherever he's sitting right now above us.
Yeah.
Then we know that would be a fact.
And I'll tap my chest and point my finger to the sky and say, "My man, we're thinking of you, as we often do, and we appreciate you."
Yes.
That would certainly indicate that he's got some swag.
He's got some sway. He's got some juice. We all know he does as we turn our pillow over to the cool side. So I'll tell you this story in letting you go. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but Stuart Scott and I were at a Jimmy V golf tournament, the famed Jimmy V, the V Foundation charity, and there was the golf tournament down in Raleigh. And it was huge, man. Back in the day, late 90s, Michael Jordan would be there, and Charles Barkley, and all the college coaches would be there in Raleigh in the middle of the summer. So Stuart and I pull up. We're getting ready to play golf, and we're at the bag drop at the golf course. And who pulls up but Mike Krzyzewski, okay, in the car, and he drops off his bag at the bag drop, and we watch him maneuver his car to go back to the parking lot, and it was a K-turn. We watched him make a K-turn in his car, and Stuart and I looked at each other and we're like, did we just watch Coach K make a K-turn in his car? And it's similar to that SportsCenter commercial, like you and him watching Arnold Palmer making an Arnold Palmer. It literally was a real-life This Is SportsCenter commercial with Stuart and I watching that.
How is no one rolling tape? Because
it's before Twitter, before everything. You know,
the most iconic of those spots are just those. It's Arnold Palmer making iced tea and lemonade, and Stuart. There's nothing to say. You watch the man make a K-turn. Now, did Stuart go casually walk over and key the man's car?
No, I do believe one of the people he dropped off was Roy Williams, who Stuart would always tell, because he was with Kansas at the time, that he was at the wrong school. You know, he would tell Roy frequently that he needed to come home, which he eventually did, as we all know. But no, he did not. Stuart, Stu definitely loved Coach K and everything about it. But when it all came down to it, I think it was a Duke Carolina game that Stuart and I, when we were first paired together, we were on right after on like an 11 o'clock SportsCenter, and Dick Vitale mentioned us, hey, stick around for Rich and Stu. What a great team they are. And we looked at each other like, okay. We have arrived. And,
right on.
Just to bring it all, together, Mike McQuaid, who you just mentioned, was the producer in the ear of Dan and Keith for The Big Show. And so we were trying to, be just as big as them or as significant as that team. And when we heard Dick say that, we kind of looked at each other like, okay, this is pretty cool.
That's, that's such a great story because, Dick has that kind of thing, where he was, not a kingmaker in the sense, but if he took note of who you were at a time before you became what you became, right? That's a little bit of, get your chest a little swollen and feel good about it. And then off you go and you do a show. And what fun it is to remember, right?
No doubt.
You did it. I was lucky enough to do it. Sit there with Stuart, following a Carolina Duke game, and and now here comes the biggest one there's ever been. That's you did me a favor by reaching out because I got a gigantic smile on my face thinking about my friend, and I appreciate that. It's great fun to remember.
You're the man, Scott Van Pelt. Love you, brother. Let's do this more often, and anytime I could be of any guest service to you, I'm always around. You know that.
My man, I appreciate you. Be well, Rich. Until next time, stay good, okay?
You're the man. At Not The Fake SVP, a must follow on Twitter. I do it. You should as well. Scott Van Pelt here on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.